It was at some part of 2019 that Anshul Jubli almost gave up on MMA. Following 13 impressive wins in the amateur circuit, Anshul had 2 huge fights cancelled, which left him heartbroken. He has his fair share of haters and detractors from every corner of the internet. He comes from a country which does not support the sport of fighting. Everything seems stacked against him.
You shall not redeem!
For one fight, he even borrowed money from his friends so that he could represent the nation on foreign soil and bring back the regional title. Despite the roadblock, he hung in there, and a few months later, he got an offer from Matrix Fight Night.
India is here! India is here! I was underdog, big underdog, but you know, just 5-6 years, and there's so many Indian fighters will be in UFC.
Growing up in India, Anshul's childhood was not rooted in a particular place. His father was in the border security force, and this meant that every 3 years they had to shift from one city to the other. Delhi, Punjab, Bihar, Rajasthan and Bengal all became home for Anshul, whose home was never really any of these places. Growing up, he had a lot of pounds on him. Obese, chubby, whatever you want to call it, he was a tubster. This made him a target for bullying until he hit the 6th grade. This is essentially what drove Anshul to sport. He had an impression that he had to do sports in order to stay fit and lose the weight. So, he started his sporting journey with football and volleyball. Whilst also being a lover of mathematics, he also taught kids in order to earn a bit of spare change. With his urge to represent the nation at an epitome high, and inspired by the diary of Bhagat Singh, Anshul decided to pursue the Combined Defence Services examination at the age of 17. And it was during his preparation for this exam that he came across combat sports, something which would change the course of his life indefinitely.
You know what that means? That you're favored by God. You know that, right?
Yeah.
You know that, right? But this is
Otherwise,
something that you may not know too. When you're favored by God, you're also favored by the devil.
Starting his journey in combat sports, it was at a gym near his hometown, in which he first took an MMA class. Anshul was immediately hooked and enthralled. Although many of Anshul's friends travelled far to train, Anshul stayed put in order to pursue the national academic exam. But it was only a matter of time before he was fully immersed into the world of MMA. He let go of academia, stopped crunching the numbers on the calculator, and binged tons of MMA content, improving his knowledge on the sport and his technique. And one fine day, he decided to go to Delhi with his friend to take a trial class at Cross Train Fight Club. This was the beginning of his amateur career. Anshul was quoted saying, "I was dead. I think I rolled around 10 rounds and I think I was dead. I was rolling and everyone was tapping me out. I did not understand what was going on. I was like, fuck, how technical. I had not trained jiu-jitsu prior to that. So after the first day, I came back home completely exhausted and decided that this is what I wanted to do. And I was not going to give up. I was ready to give my blood, sweat, time and money to this, and was ready to make all the necessary sacrifices to succeed in the sport." Anshul's career in amateur MMA only took off from there.
On from the blue corner, put your hands together for Anshul Jubli!
Now he's very confident, obviously, making his pro debut.
Across a span of 4 years, Anshul piles up a record of 13-0 in the amateur MMA circuit. Whilst the first 7 fights came in the first 3 years, his remaining 6 occurred in just a span of 6 months, as he was getting more serious about the sport. He still views amateur MMA as something that, quote, molds a fighter. There is also one fight in particular that Anshul holds close to his heart. There was a fight in which everyone had doubted me. It was in Bangalore Open, and it was the final, and a lot of people told me that I could not win the fight. I think my opponent was a foreigner who used to train in India, and he was finishing all his fights in the first round. So everyone doubted me, and I ended up finishing the fight in the second round. I was so happy, and I got to prove that I have the talent, and that I'm not on that level that most people think of. It was this legendary comeback and incredible run which defined his early MMA career. It was after his 13th fight that an opportunity to fight abroad came knocking upon his door. Training was going perfectly. He was sparring the right level of opponents, and he was dominating his fights. He was offered the main event fight in the Philippines, and Anshul was not going to let it slip by. He borrowed money from his friends, and a friend of the cross-train fight club head coach was also arranged to corner him at the event. Everything seemed perfect, every single detail, until he was warming up at the arena for the fight. However, just as he was starting to warm up, the police raided the event. 2 of the head organisers had been arrested, and Anshul's fight was now cancelled. Anshul had borrowed a lot of money from his friends for the fight, which ultimately got cancelled. Though he thought of giving up, he said to himself, "It cannot be worse than this." Quote, "I thought, what could be worse than this? I could have gone back home and taught math and could have paid this back. It was the easy way out. I went back to training and I said to myself that I will see what happens." It was this attitude that defined Anshul, and he started making efforts to get a spot on the Matrix Fight Night amateur card once more. He constantly sent fight videos and messages to the promotion and the matchmakers, until one day he got a call from Alan Fernandez. Quote, "One day he called me and asked me whether I was ready for a fight. I said yes, I'm ready to fight anyone at lightweight. He then asked me whether I was ready for pro, and I said yes, and I just wanted an opportunity. I started training, and I thought I was still going to fight amateur. And when I got the call saying that we'll have to fight Sanjeev Boudoir, I was at Angud's gym, and I had to tell them, all of them, that Sanjeev was my favourite fighter, that he is a classy fighter, whose wrestling and striking is good. I was complimenting him, and when I got the message saying my opponent was Sanjeev, I called Alan back and confirmed that I wanted the fight. I was confident about my skills and hard work, but added that I will have to train hard after seeing the fight videos. You can take and you can will, and that is what happened. I willed it forward." End quote. The rest, as they say, is history. Anshul got a unanimous decision victory over Sanjeev Boudoir, his hero, in his professional debut no less. He went on to secure 2 more victories in Matrix Fight Night to emerge as one of the top fighters and champions of the promotion. One of the most important figures in the MMA career of Anshul is Siddharth Singh, who is the head coach of Cross Train Fight Club. Anshul notes that he is inspired by Siddharth and hopes to make him proud one day. Quote, "I'm inspired by the story of Siddharth. He had a good job and a stable life in the United Kingdom. When I left everything and came, I literally had nothing to lose. But he had everything. A great job for which he did so many studies and degrees. He had given half his life for such a job, and he left that job and decided to do what he wanted to do, or what he loved to do. So, from me, hats off to that. And from my heart, I believe that he is passionate about MMA in India and Jiu-Jitsu in India, and I believe that he is working towards that. It is one of my dreams to make him proud." The best part of Anshul's story is perhaps that it only has just started. He is only a few fights into his professional MMA career, and the future looks bright for him. He has big dreams and big goals ahead, and I wish him nothing but the best. The thing everyone has to remember about MMA in India is it's not popular. Even in the biggest cities, you'll be hard pressed to find any good quality MMA gyms. They simply do not exist. If a kid wants to play cricket, he can play cricket. If a kid wants to play football, he can play football. But fighting, just like gambling, is extremely taboo in India. Anshul and his coach, Siddharth, are trailblazers in Indian MMA, and they should only be applauded for their immense efforts in the sport. MMA is only growing. Anshul has the potential to become one of the UFC's largest stars simply because he's India's top prospect right now. If he goes in to the UFC and starches the top competition, knocks them out and does well, he'll potentially have an entire country behind him. Who knows, maybe MMA will actually pop off in India, and maybe it will start to become a popular sport, something that kids can do, something that's not taboo and hidden away. Anshul, I wish you all the best. Thanks for watching this video, guys, I really appreciate it. I've been making a lot of MMA documentaries recently. I did one on Alex Pereira, I'm going to do one on Conor McGregor. Let me know what you guys thought of this, like and subscribe. Peace in the Middle East. And Anshul Jubli, why did you redeem it? Sorry, I had to do that. Sorry for my Indian folks, hope you didn't get offended. Peace, God bless, love you, see ya.
Namaste UFC! India is here! India is here! I was underdog, big underdog, but you know, just 5-6 years, and there's so many Indian fighters will be in UFC, and we're gonna rule the world. We're better than everybody. It's just, I'm from India, I train in India. There is almost zero black belts in India. No Muay Thai coach, no kickboxing coach, just boxing and wrestling. And see where we are. It's a land of warriors. In our history, there's so many warriors, and I'm gonna prove it. People think Indians are only engineers or doctors or working. I'm not saying it's just for saying, but I have a world champion mentality. Obviously my skills are not there yet. I just started 4 years ago. Give me 4 more years and I'll be a world champion. That's for sure. That's a promise.